Hello, fellow superheroes. Welcome to another edition of our Super Inspector Training Podcast, where we cast vision, build culture, and sharpen our skills as super team members. Super Inspector and Super Team Services. No cape, just extraordinary service. It's time to get our super on.
Okay, so welcome. This is our first podcast. We're going to be talking about exceptional customer service over the next couple of months. And today we're going to focus on external communication. So let's introduce ourselves here real quickly. We have on first Blake, and Blake Williams is the president of Super Inspector. And share with us a little bit about what maybe some of your major initiatives right now you're working on, Blake.
Major initiatives we're working on right now is we feel like we have really good customer service, and we just want to take it a notch above to make it super customer service. That is the next step in taking our company from good to great. Exceptional customer service creates referral business, creates loyal customers, creates loyal team members. When we talk right now, today we're talking about external customer service, but we'll also be talking about in future podcasts internal customer service, how we serve each other within the organization, and internal communications. And that's very important so that we all have a great work experience and that we're excited to come to work every day. And so all of those things tie into taking our company from the organization that we are up to the next level, the super level.
From the beginning. All right, Katie is also our call center manager. So welcome. Tell us what you're kind of focusing on right now, Katie, in your division.
Yeah, so I would say for our current division, we deal with external customers all the time, internal customers all the time. But our main focus now is just creating that consistency of exceptional customer service, because it can be very easy to be exceptional part of the time, but creating consistency all day, every day, but also among all of our team members. That way, no matter who's calling in, they're getting the same exceptional customer service across all of our team members.
Great. All right. And then Ashley, she's our director of growth and all of our growth reps, and just had everybody together as a big team. And what are you guys focusing on right now, Ashley?
Yeah, so what we're focusing on, Katie just mentioned that they deal with external customers all the time. We do too on the growth team, but ours is more focused on real estate agents. So what we're focused on right now is how do we provide excellent, amazing customer service to those real estate agents? In other words, too, how do we make their lives easier for them? So how do we come in and help them with their job and help, puff them up in their own industries, lighten their load, and really set ourselves apart from not even only the other home inspection companies, in the areas, but all of the other real estate kind of affiliates as well. Like we want to be the best of the best. And as far as all of the affiliates go, we want to, when somebody thinks of exceptional customer service, I want them to think of Super Inspector.
Great. Thanks, Ashley. All right. So Delta is our kind of CEO of a whole host of companies that we have under the umbrella of Super Team Services, Concierge, Handyman, and Pest. And what are y'all kind of focusing on right now?
In our newer divisions, it's a lot of developing just those essential customer service standards, because they are new divisions. So we're taking our cues from Super Inspector and creating that super client experience. And for Handyman and Renovations and Pest. And then for Concierge, it's a lot of how do we prolong that that great customer service that Super Inspector just gave them? How do we make it even more super, because we step in after the home inspection? So how do we live up to that mission statement of providing a super experience? How do we keep that going? So we are laying groundwork and foundations as well as raising the bar.
Excellent. Awesome. All right. So we're going to talk in these podcasts about the kind of three different spheres of exceptional customer service. And Blake, if just as an overview, can you just kind of give us a little bit of a definition or kind of explain a little bit what those three spheres are: external, internal, and what loyalty opportunities mean?
Yeah, so again, external communication is how we deal with our clients. And I can piggyback right onto internal communication, where we want to treat each other within the organization as if each of us is our best client, right? And so when we talk about that communication, it encompasses every way that we communicate. So like not just how we talk to each other, but words that we should use and words that we don't use, questions we ask and questions we shouldn't ask, because different questions evoke different responses. It can be the same question asked in a different way that evokes a positive response as opposed to a negative response. And then you have nonverbal communication as well, like text messages, email, and then you have communication over phone lines, over Zoom, leaving voicemails. So if I send somebody a text message on 3 o'clock on Monday, I might expect an immediate response. If I send somebody a text message at 3 o'clock on Sunday afternoon and they're off that day, I might expect a different response or a delayed response. But what is the standard for that? We need to develop standards within our company that says this is how we expect you to respond to clients when they text message you. We get messages from realtors at all hours of the night. I mean, we get them at midnight some nights. And most of the time they're not expecting somebody to respond. But when somebody does respond, what does that do to their perception of our customer service when they send a message at midnight? All of a sudden they go, oh, wow, this company really does care about customer service, right? So we just have to set expectations for that. For our today we're talking about external communications. We want to be as responsive as possible to our clients in every way that we communicate. And so that's really what this is driving towards, making sure that our customers know that we care enough to take their requests seriously and that we will respond immediately.
Great. So you challenged us about 2 months ago as an executive leadership team to kind of do a deep dive into this ourselves. And so we worked intentionally week by week through each of these different spheres and kind of produced some documents for our groups, and we discussed those together and all that. So what were some of y'all's feelings just about the process of going through that?
Yeah, I'll say I think it was interesting for me to sit down with that and really get intentional about, coming up with, verbiage and, these systems around external communication. What it did for me was it uncovered some big blind spots that I wasn't necessarily aware of. Mm-hmm. And, I think I need to continue with it as well. It's something that's like an ongoing thing, being able to provide excellent customer service. You can't just develop something and then stop right there. There's always going to be a blind spot. And so that was, I think, the most eye-opening part of it for me. Wow, I've totally been missing the mark on this. Okay, great. Now it's identified.
What about you, Delta?
I learned very quickly that my personal bar for good customer service is kind of low compared to other people's. I'm a pretty laid back person. And so I very soon realized that I needed to raise my personal bar if I was going to expect my team to have super customer service then to our clients, then I was going to need to be the one to lead that and be their role model. So I had to raise my bar and my standards and expectations first so then I could hold them accountable to what they were doing. And once we talked about what that looks like outside of our own, getting them to pay attention to customer service in restaurants and stores and raising their own bar, then they started noticing, oh yeah, I don't want to wait an hour for someone to respond to my phone call or text message. I'd rather only wait 1 minute. So it taught us, my team and me, a lot.
Yeah, mine was very similar to that. I think I was thinking of it a lot of times through the eyes of how me as a single person, as kind of a startup division and or one person helping me, what would be a good expectation of me getting something delivered to somebody, whatever the deliverable happens to be. But then I had to stop and think, it's really the standard of what should it be? And then how do I migrate the division to that standard? How about you, Katie?
My biggest takeaway was how we had 7-8 different people working on it from all different backgrounds, but a lot of the themes were very similar. We kept repeating the same things over and over again. So it really showed me that the culture of our company and those principles are really deep rooted in all of us, for us all to come up with those same similar ideas.
Great. So similarly to what we did as an executive leadership team, where we kind of intentionally dug into it, that's what we want to do over the next 3 months in our company. And so in October, we're going to, dig into external communication. November will be internal communication, and then December will be loyalty opportunities. So everybody has a chance to learn and kind of let it soak in, and also talk about the divisional aspects of it. So the hope is that we'll have a month-long divisional kind of deep dive where we both just deepen our understanding of what each of these spheres mean, and as well as translate it into the everyday specifics and best practices for each of our divisions as we try and pursue exceptional customer service and customer engagement. I'm interested, Blake, in kind of the origin story of this phrase that we've had. It's been around for a while. No cape, just extraordinary service. Where'd that come from, and what were y'all hoping to convey with that?
Yeah, it was really a marketing phrase. We were looking for taglines, and a graphic artist that we work with came up with no cape, just extraordinary service, or no tights, just extraordinary service. Because even though we're superheroes, we don't wear capes or tights. But it's really just saying there's not going to be a lot of fluff around what we're doing unnecessarily, right? Unnecessary fluff. We're going to give you value, and it's going to be straightforward, and it's going to be super service. But there's not going to be gimmicks, right? So some companies have gimmicks that they use to sell their products. So they might wear a cape, where we're not going to put the cape on just to sell a product. We're going to give you value and great service. How
did the role of that spirit of extraordinary service play into your decision to either work for Super Inspector, or how does it fuel you even today? Anybody?
I would say that it very much played into my role to decide to work with Super Inspector. You're looking at an industry that I think for the most part is, let me get the client out of my way. I don't want to see them again. Blake always talks about that, and they're not necessarily providing the best service there. And so when I saw Super Inspector, the opportunity that was there, and like the vision of the company and the way that they came and took care of the clients, I loved it. I have that hospitality thing within me. So like that was, it's just great to be able to go out there and care for people like that, and, help lift people up. And, I like to we have all these talks on the growth team about what is the mindset of a real estate agent? What are they going through at any given time? And their job is changing. Their whole role is changing. It's so busy. They don't get a lot of breaks. Their weekends are work. And so what can we do for them? They're really looking for someone with this type of, external customer service standards to come in and really take on some of that load for them. I really appreciate that. It's really needed in the real estate industry today.
I would say I got the privilege of growing up under Blake and Angela, and people was always a very big people and communication was always a very big theme in our household. You care about people, you treat people with respect, and you communicate well with them. So it just kind of made sense to me when they made that their motto, because if you know Blake, he's never been a big fluffy guy, no matter how flowery his shirt looks today. He's always like very transparent. What you see is what you get. And he has always taught that to me. So it just made sense when I came on, and to just be very transparent, and you care about people. And if you're transparent with it, then people just feel that when they come into the company or use.
Anything, Katie, you experienced, or?
Well, with the phrase specifically, anytime I say that to a client or agent, like maybe they'll say something, wow, you did a great job. I'm like, no capes, just exceptional service. I get a positive response every single time. They either chuckle or they're like, oh, that was good. Did you come up with that on your own? I'm like, No, I wish I could take credit for that, but they love it.
Some of the stuff we need to kind of, I think, talk about a little bit as we consider external communication, that there are principles, right? Blake, you like for us to live by principles and kind of embody those. And then there are best practice, how those translate into the actual specifics of what we might be doing in our division. So what would be some of the more important external communication principles?
Yeah, so it's act quickly, right? Respond quickly to all customer requests, inquiries, phone calls, emails, whatever it is. Respond with caring and empathy, right? Deliver a perfect product as close as you can get all the time and in a timely manner, like I said. And then if something goes wrong, then we stand behind it, we back it up. And then when you think about it, it's like, okay, what can I do to deliver great service? And once you've decided that, you say, how can I take it one step further? Right? So, because a lot of times you think of great service, oh, somebody answered the phone quickly and they took my order and they were friendly. Well, what's one more thing that we can do to really impress upon that client that we're giving them great service? We were talking about an issue today with Delta. It's like, okay, what is one more thing we can do for this person who received a service from a plumber we recommended? They didn't want to pay for that service. It's like, okay, we're going to pay for the service, but let's do something else. Let's give them a discount on their next inspection, or let's do something, one more thing to let them know that we're giving them exceptional service and to really impress upon them that that's the type of company we are.
Ashley, any one that kind of you think is kind of tantamount for growth, that we can get that one right in your division, then the rest of the dominoes fall?
I'm really big on anticipating everyone's needs, and that's where I like to get in front of the mindset of the realtor. As the market changes too, when we saw the market in Texas changing, like there was very low inventory, almost no inventory. And I saw the agents and kind of like how they were kind of reacting to certain things change. And it's getting on top of that. Well, they're like this because maybe their next home is, where it's normally 2 weeks out, maybe it's a month out now, so maybe their income is looking a little different right now. So anticipating those needs, and how do I help retain their people for them? And so one of the things that we do on the growth team, when we are on the phone with, maybe sometimes they'll have their buyers call our cell phones, they have some questions, or maybe they accidentally call our cell phones to schedule an inspection. Sit there and congratulate their buyer. Like, I am so excited. Congrats on this property. Is this your first time buying a home? And talk to them, like it's a big deal for them. It's a big deal buying a home. And so another thing that we like to do is really like puff up that agent too. I'm so glad that you're working with this real estate agent. You're really in good hands with them. And that gets back to that agent. It makes their life easier. It's less retention that they have to do. I think it's really that anticipating the needs part, connecting them with concierge. If I know that something's going to be coming up, making sure they know about all of the, sister companies that we have so that we can make their life easier for them.
So anticipate needs. Katie helped us think through in our time together in leadership group, saying superheroes use their experiences to anticipate the client's needs and then provide solutions. So what are some ways you do that, Katie, y'all's division, to anticipate needs?
Well, luckily in our division, we have a lot of past experience to pull on, and we work as a team. We're in the same office all day, every day. So we have a lot of resources there. But there's things that you learn from booking X amount of inspections in this area. You already get a sense of what those common problems are going to be. Like we have foundation, soil that moves a lot. So foundation is a big concern for a lot of our clients. And if you listen to the call, the client or the agent is going to tell you what those concerns are, but we always, before we end the phone call, is we ask them what those concerns are. We do that for a couple of reasons. One, so that if it's anything that's in our power to go ahead and set up, maybe they have a concern about plumbing, let's go ahead and offer a sewer camera. If they tell us they're a first-time home buyer, that is very useful information for our inspectors. So we're doing it not only to set ourselves up for success, but also to set up the inspector, the growth rep, whoever else might be in contact with this client or agent, just give them a little bit more information so that, we're anticipating the information that our growth team might need, or that concierge might need, or that our inspector might need.
That's awesome. One of the other principles we've talked about is just that, assist one another, right? So superheroes need sidekicks, you say. They aren't afraid to ask team members for help and to leverage then other people's strengths that are on the team to find a solution and get it done. So what does that kind of mean to you, Delta? Assist one another.
Well, for the concierge team, we are, I feel like, constantly assisting super inspector, or the call center ladies bring us stuff all the time. Hey, I need a mold inspector for this area. Or we get an inspector, we just fixed someone's jetted tub. They called on us because they needed us to handle that issue for them so that we could make the agent happy. We have Tara from the growth team calling us all the time. Hey, this agent needs cost estimates, but they did an inspection with another company. Can we still do this for them? So I would say that is one of concierge's big superpowers, is being that team member that can do whatever you need them to do. We accept whatever challenges anyone wants to throw at us, and then they're pretty tight knit in the team as well, helping each other out. Hey, my plate's pretty full. Can you call this client? So I would say that is one of our big superpowers there.
Great. All right, another one. What's a different one, Delta, that you have? We've mentioned a couple. We've anticipating needs, assisting one another.
I would say the acting quickly, and I know that that is definitely for sure thing in the growth team and in the call center as well, especially just like Ashley said earlier, that these option periods are getting shorter, these closing periods are getting shorter. So when someone calls us, especially if it's an agent, they need it right now. If there's an inspector incident where they did something or had an accident at home, they need it fixed right now because that home is going to be sold very quickly. So I think it is super important on the super team services side to act quickly. As soon as you get a request, you're working on it as soon as possible and filling that need as soon as possible. So that one's really big.
So act now. Superheroes don't wait. They act now and take responsibility to go above and beyond. So Blake, what would be your wish for everybody in the company in terms of feeling empowered to take responsibility?
We had a discussion about that this morning with one of our business coaches who was asking us, we were talking about the decision tree that you read about in the book Fierce Conversations, where, the founders of the company are the root system, and then our leadership team is the trunk, and then you have all these branches of all the support staff and then the leaves, and where the decision-making power is within those different segments. And when I iterated to our coach that I felt like anybody in the company can make a decision for the company at any time, he said, well, what's your dollar limit, say, for somebody in the field? And I thought about it and I said, well, I trust people in our company to use their own discretion to determine whether they need to make that decision or not. Obviously, I wouldn't expect them to contract the company to purchase a $500,000 piece of land. But if they say we need to give this customer a refund and it's a $1,500 inspection, I would trust them to make that call. And where it gets into a problem is if I say, okay, at this level, you can make decisions up to $1,000. At this level, you can make decisions up to $2,000 and so on. then I think that just gives people another excuse to pass the buck, right? Another excuse to say, oh, this is not my decision to make. And now it's delaying the decision. And once you delay the decision, now you have a customer who maybe is not as happy as they could have been. And you miss a loyalty opportunity, an opportunity to create a loyal customer. And so, I just said I don't think I'd put a dollar amount on it. I would rather people use their own judgment to decide, is this a decision I can make or not?
If something were out of bounds, like we just have a discussion about it, we would learn that it is afterwards, right? I'm not going to pre-make the decision, and then discuss it, what the ramifications of that, and how could we better handle it next time.
I think too that like the way that you empower people with exactly what you were just talking about, not putting, these, you can make this decision up to this amount. Everybody feels very empowered to do what they need to do. And when you let people have that type of empowerment, it does create like stronger employees. They're happy employees because they see opportunity there, and happy employees are what's going to end up giving the most amazing customer service. So it all kind of goes in hand.
So we talked some at the quarterly meetings about the different kind of A+ superhero customer service, and we've mentioned several of them: act now, assist one another, anticipate needs. There was to add value. Superheroes add value by using their yes mindset to empower and enhance the lives of others. How do you guys see that playing out in your divisions?
I think it goes back to what Blake said earlier, not only providing exceptional customer service, but when you're finished, what is that extra thing you can do? When you think you've done everything you can, what's that one thing that would just kind of be the icing on the cake, essentially? So I have an example from one of my team members. We had a client that was really upset and needed to book a second inspection, but didn't want to use us based on her first inspection. And Melissa was talking to this client for probably 20 minutes, and it turns out the client was stressed about things that had nothing to do with our inspection. They were purchasing a home. It was like the 5th, 6th home that they had put an offer in. They had to do all of these inspections, all of these costs, and at the end, Melissa got everything set up, and then the day of her inspection, once it finished, she called the client again and just wanted to double check on her. Just asked, how was your inspection? How was the inspector? I recommended this inspector. Do you think he did a good job? Did you like his personality? And then the inspector called me to tell me that the client just loved that adding that extra step really showed that we cared. So finding what that extra action is when you think you've done all you can.
Delta, I know that one was important to you when we were having discussions and so forth, to add value. What does that mean to you and in your division as well?
Well, kind of like Katie said, buying a home is in the top 3 biggest stressors of your life that you will have. So us just delivering a super home inspection adds a ton of value to someone's life, because we're helping them move into their dream home with their family, or we're finding something that could be thousands of dollars that they may not have, so that once we're keeping them from making a bad decision sometimes. I think that in itself adds a lot of value. But I like to think in concierge, they take it one step further, because they're also looking at the inspection report, and we have those cost estimates that we do. So sometimes buying a home, is really expensive. So when HVAC isn't working very well and they want to have someone come look at it, it's another $150 to $250 to have someone come out and look at that, and they may not be able to afford that. So we try to add values in other ways. We have licensed home inspectors that can give you a cost estimate. It's only going to be $75 or $50 versus $250. And by the way, why don't we go ahead and just do the whole report, so you're not just worried, so you can look at all the other issues other than just the HVAC, and so you can have all of that. And I guess it's kind of like what Katie said, taking it one step further, but it's also in concierge, just trying to take as much stress off of them as possible. We're going to go ahead and get these utilities set up for you, so you don't have to worry about that. We're going to find you some movers that we vetted and that we trust, so you don't have to worry about that. And just trying to make this one of the 3 biggest stressors of their life more enjoyable, so they can. I personally love moving and think it's really fun, but not everyone feels that way. So just making it more fun and enjoyable for them to move, rather than a huge stress and just like stain on their life.
Right. So a lot of these are deeply intertwined. And I think you were talking about it some, Ashley, early with anticipating needs. That's where you can add a lot of value. You're trying to build relationships and you're really trying to add value. That would be the reason an agent would use us, because we're adding value to who they are and their potential referral base.
Right. And so, for the growth team, our main goal and our main high impact task for every, growth rep member is to just create a one-on-one personal relationship with each real estate agent. And so when we're adding value, I think it looks a little bit more personal. The goal is to just stay open to various ways to come in and provide value. Just a couple examples. I've had an agent on her way to meet me before run out of gas. So how do I provide value in that situation? Well, I go get her gas and I go meet her, and I have my Elisa in Fort Worth, had a broker whose assistant up and quit right in the middle of planning an event. And he said, I will let you come in and do whatever you want in this office if you can finish planning this event for me. Absolutely, she will. And she loved it. And so that's how we come in and provide that, like coming in and trying to save the day, and getting in on that personal level. If they've got a sick kid at home, going and bringing them something.
Awesome.
I'm glad we didn't lose Elisa to him being her being his assistant.
No, she loves it.
Right.
All right. So hopefully our big launching kind of jumping off point here for people's discussion across of October is, how do we take some of these principles related to external communication, how we relate to our external clients, and pushing those down into the best practices for the division. So let's go around the horn real quick and just kind of say, what are the divisional growth objectives that you hope, anticipate as a leader for the coming month? So here's what we really need to focus on, and here's, we're going to need to do what? Need to improve where? Improve how? Katie, what would be kind of something you would see as a starting point for that discussion?
Thinking of my department, the principle of taking ownership and taking responsibility and assuming everything is your fault. That's the biggest one that I really want to hit home. And also what I think will be the most challenging, because it's difficult sometimes to own up to your own mistakes, but then to also just take whatever mistake, regardless of if it's your own or even if it even happened, because sometimes things get made up, and our role is just to say, okay, I take ownership of that. I understand. Let's work on how we can go from there. And also, because we work in a team, when it's not just your personal mistake, it's the team's mistake. So how can I improve the lives of my team members and of our clients by really just accepting that blame and then being able to move on and start thinking of solutions?
Does that translate out to like what specific? Is it actually something that happens on a call, or in the writing up of the order, or?
Yeah, I would say at this time, when I hear it the most, it can be, sure, we can do that, but let me get someone else to help do that for you, instead of trying really, because you can do it too. It might be more convenient if you can like push this to someone else, but you have the power to be able to button up this task, and you should take ownership of that because this is your client that you're talking to. So that's where I see it in practice most often.
All right. So Delta, what about yours? What would be kind of the thing you would, best practice, an actual specific that you might kind of start working on this month?
Well, like you said in the beginning, our team, it was raising the personal bar. Like, I know, like, we only have 2 concierges, and I know that I can get to a text message in an hour, but is that really what super service is? So it's realizing where we need to be in the super service, which we've outlined, we've come up with those standards, and then executing on it. And so that's answering a text message within 2 to 5 minutes. That's answering an email within 10 minutes. That's answering the phone call in 3 rings. So it's a lot of very specifics when clients or agents are calling in. And that's also, if we miss a call for some reason, answering a voicemail within 2 to 5 minutes, recalling them back as soon as possible. When an inspector or a call center or growth rep gives you a request, it's answering it very quickly. So for us, it's a lot about speed of our communication to give people, because we live in a very instant gratification world. So we want to give people that instant gratification. So we're really working on our speed of the external communications.
So Ashley, do you have something specific that your team, if they would kind of focus in on in terms of external communication, that might be a game changer?
Yeah, absolutely. We've been talking a lot lately about, showing up as a high level employee and what does that look like in these very specific ways of how each of them can show up as that high level employee. I think one of the biggest ones, it's kind of similar to what Katie said, is instead of looking like having an excuse, or instead of seeing the obstacle only, let's try and find the solution. So that's one of the biggest things that we're working on right now is, what are the obstacles right now for the growth team? Well, they're always going to be, there's low inventory, it's fall, we're getting into holiday time. Well, those are always there. So instead of seeing those obstacles and saying, oh, well, I can't produce at this rate because of this, it's, what can we do knowing that those are there that is going to enable us to still achieve that goal at the end of the day? And just really honing in on that and having those discussions and coming up with some creative ways to get around those.
All right, Blake. So we're all going to kind of be meeting in different divisions around external communication. What are some things you would want us encouraged to focus on?
Focus on the sprinkles.
Okay.
Do y'all remember the coffee video? Right? So the lady at the airport coffee shop at the airport
yes.
Starbucks, right? And the guy's like flying on Christmas Eve or something, and his flight's delayed or whatever. And he's like, I'm going to go get a cup of coffee. And so she's talking to him. What's going on? Oh, you going home for Christmas? And she's just real exuberant. And she's like, I'm going to make you the perfect cup of coffee. And then I'm going to put some whipped cream on it. And wait, before you go, let me add some sprinkles. So that was the one step further that she went to make a great experience for that person so that he would remember. And she said, oh, by the way, when you come back through on your way home, I want to hear about how your Christmas went with your family, right? Yeah. So focus on the sprinkles. What are some sprinkles we can add to everything that we do? The sprinkles don't cost much, but they make all the difference in the world.
Fantastic. All right, guys. So I hope we enjoy kind of talking about this together in our different divisions over the next month. In terms of our podcast, we will see you in a month and we'll talk about internal communication. Good luck with your external communication. Thank you guys for being on today.
Thanks for listening. Super Inspector is committed to providing opportunity and super experiences for our clients, agents, team members, and all we serve. Visit yoursuperinspector.com today, and until next time, be super.